The current location is Durango, Colorado. Having just completed the historic steam train trip into the Rockies in the previous episode, today's agenda requires a new destination. The route from here heads east, tracking along the southern Colorado border, and includes a drive through Pagosa Springs, traversing the infamous Wolf Creek Pass, up and over the Continental Divide, dropping down into the San Luis Valley, and ending in one of the most unique places in North America, Great Sand Dunes National Park. Working as a traveling healthcare professional does have its perks. Drama-free 3-month contracts, as much time off as you may desire, getting to choose where you want to live next, all while experiencing things along the way that were once only dreamed of. Today marks day number 5 of moving to a small northern New Mexico town, known simply as Taos. For the past 7 years, travel contracts have been worked across the US, moving one city to another, never knowing where the journey will head next. the infamous Wolf Creek Pass. Named after the 19th century trapper Bill Wolfe, the pass reaches a summit elevation of 10,856 feet as it scales the treacherous San Juan mountain range. Bill Wolfe was most likely not the first man across the pass, as many routes through these mountains were used throughout history. First by hunter-gatherers as far back as 4000 BC, Spanish and French explorers seeking gold in the 1700s, and eventually westward settlers in the 1800s. This route, however, was not well known and remained undeveloped until the early 20th century. The inspiration for this faster north to south route came surprisingly not from the pursuit of gold, but the increasing wealth of lumber. Men began on the development of a new pass as soon as the weather broke. Working only with horses and wagons, Wolf Creek Pass was completed in 1916. Chugging over the pass in a Model T Ford took 2 days, often resulting in burning brakes and boiling radiators. Large patches of last winter's snow meant stopping to shovel out a path. Meeting another vehicle traveling in the opposite direction was an exercise in diplomacy, occasionally leading to a test of boxing skill. Wolf Creek Pass remains legendary for its vast views and white-knuckled travelers, and is featured in many songs, including C.W. McCall's 1975 hit, which goes as follows. We spent all night on the uphill side of 37 miles of hell. 37 miles of hell is exactly what travelers throughout history have felt regarding the drive, as it features many risks. Steep 7% grades, extreme weather shifts, hairpin turns, 200-foot drop-offs, snow slides, falling rocks, and is listed on the official Dangerous Roads website. Old Bill Wolfe's Pass is very different today. Smooth pavement, double lanes, snow slide sheds and runaway truck ramps provide a safe, comfortable 1-hour trip over the pass. Even with these modern improvements, however, it continues to impose a challenge, earning it the name the Bearcat of mountain passes. At the top of Wolf Creek Pass you will find the Continental Divide, a high elevation ridge separating North America's watershed, extending from northern Alaska to southern Mexico. From here, water either flows east to the Rio Grande or west to the Colorado River. Although there are several other divides in North America, none are more prominent than this one due to its high Rocky Mountain peaks. Hikers on the Continental Divide Trail will eventually pass through this point, on their journey filled with remote beauty. It is America's longest national scenic trail, a total of 3,102 miles, winding through 5 states, 25 national forests, and 3 national parks. Wanting to hike the trail? It will take you 6 months or more to complete. Expect long distances between resupply points, and challenging terrain from desert plains to alpine mountains. Heading east from the top of the pass, the route descends over 3,000 feet with drastic changes in terrain. The descent eventually opens up to the vast San Luis Valley, full of unique sights you might not expect from the state of Colorado. The next stop, Great Sand Dunes National Park. The highest dunes in North America are located here in Colorado, tucked alongside the majestic peaks of the Sangre de Cristo Mountains. The dunes, at first glance, may seem very mysteriously placed in the corner of this valley. However, scientists are no longer puzzled by their presence. Approximately 700,000 years ago, San Luis Valley was home to one of North America's largest high-elevation lakes. Its size was so large that many mountains you see in the valley today were better characterized as islands at that time. Fed by glacial meltwater from the surrounding areas, the lake's water levels waxed and waned over the centuries, eventually overflowing into the Rio Grande River. The lake slowly emptied out completely, leaving behind evidence of its existence in the form of immense sand deposits. Anyone who has lived in the San Luis Valley knows just how strong the prevailing southwest winds can be. Over tens of thousands of years, strong storms and persistent winds inched the sand into the northeast corner of the valley, nestling it up against the steep peaks. Acting as a natural barrier, the sand could go nowhere else, except up. The dunes began to grow to the sky, shifting and shaping with the seasonal winds, creating the otherworldly sight you see today. The current dune field covers an area of approximately 30 square miles, with an estimated 6.5 billion cubic meters of sand. Hikers are warned of extreme seasonal conditions, as sand surface temperature can reach up to 150 degrees. The tallest dune in the park rises a staggering 750 feet, taking over 3 hours to reach on foot. Water shed off the mountains and strong winds continue to reshape and move the ever-changing dunes today. Evidence of human activity in the dunes dates back 11,000 years. Some of the first to pass through were nomadic hunter-gatherers from the Stone Age, tracking mammoths and prehistoric bison. Modern Indian tribes such as Ute, Navajo, and Apache were also very familiar with the area. As westward settlers began to drift into the valley, fears arose of the dunes being exposed to mining operations and concrete manufacturing. Preservation acts began to form to protect the land. President Herbert Hoover designated the area a national monument in 1932, eventually transitioning to a national park in the year 2000. The park is open to the public year-round, complete with a small RV campground adjacent to the dunes, with staggering views of the awe-inspiring walls of sand. the story of Western migration and the sand dunes is quite an extraordinary one. The year was 1806. The Louisiana Purchase had just been acquired. Zebulon Pike and 20 soldiers were sent west to find out what secrets this land held. They did not know it at the time, but the men were vastly underprepared for what lay ahead. Riding horseback from Missouri to Colorado, they entered the Rocky Mountains late in the year. A December journal entry from Pike had an undeniable tone of desperation. 800 miles from the frontiers of our country, in the most inclement season of the year, not one person clothed for winter. Many without blankets. Entering the new year starving and frostbitten, the men waded through the deep, rocky mountain snow, determined to traverse the range. At last, cresting Madonna Pass, they were greeted by a strange sight lying in the valley beneath them. Sand dunes. Mountains of sand. The men descended into the valley, in awe of what they were seeing. Pike recorded the first known description of the dunes. When we encamped, I ascended one of the largest hills of sand, and with my glass could discover a large river. The sand hills extended up and down the foot of the White Mountains about 15 miles and appeared to be about 5 miles in width. Their appearance was exactly that of the sea in a storm. Tomorrow morning's hike will take place under a full moon. Ascending one of the highest dunes, following in the footsteps of the infamous Pike.